Explore the food in Saigon with me as I go to eat some of the local favourite pork rolls, Michelin rice cakes, and some of the most creative fine dining experiences I've had. I apologise in advance because I'm going to butcher this name. Buntit Nung Chi Twin is probably the best vermicelli pork place I've ever been to. We didn't really see any tourists here and there were a lot of locals. We decided to try some of the local drinks as well, one which was a sarsaparilla, which I didn't quite like, but the other one was chrysanthemum tea, which was a classic. I got the grilled meat with spring roll and fine rice vermicelli, and I doused this in fish sauce. The grilled pork itself was so flavourful and really soft and tender, and the rice with the mix of veggies was the perfect freshness that went with the meat. What really surprised me was the spring rolls because they were so freaking crispy. Even when I had doused it completely in fish sauce, it retained its crunch. I also had to do a celebratory fist pump because I was so glad that we decided to come to this place. Partway through the meal, I noticed that there were a lot of locals coming in and out, and it was really high turnover. Whilst we had been sitting there for around half an hour, most locals would come in and out in 10 minutes. They also ordered extra plates of grilled pork, which is what we should have done because I'm salivating just looking at this video again. This was a bit of a planned and unplanned visit to the restaurant, so I did try to book Ange and I'm, but I was actually trying to book the restaurant within the building that did the bone marrow pho. But when we got here, I realised that I booked the wrong restaurant out of the 3 restaurants within the one building. Nevertheless, we decided to roll with it and really enjoy this experience. The cuisine was Vietnamese French, and it was really cool to see how the chef did a spin on pork rolls and also things like the traditional rice cakes as well. The pork roll, otherwise known as banh mi, came in a small baguette filled with pate with a carrot on the side. And then the traditional Hue rice cakes came in a cocktail glass, and the beef consomme was then poured into the cocktail glass from a teapot. Even the waffle cake was really pretty as well, and that had salmon roe, smoked salmon, and creme fraiche on it, which was a delicious and refreshing bite. In between the courses, they served this spicy tamarind lolly, which I didn't expect to be so spicy, and then was told promptly to hand over my Asian card. Every dish was delicious, with the standouts for me being the banh mi, the crab and uni, and also the caviar banh nung, also known as the waffle cake that I showed you before.
I also really like the bun cha bourdain because of the creativity behind it and the fact that you got a free Pasture Street Jasmine IPA along with your meal, and also the pigeon roulade as well.
At the end of the savouries, we were served coconut ice cream inside a coconut with caviar on top as well, which was such an interesting mix. The chef's menu here was a bit pricey, and we ended up paying around 300 Australian dollars per person, along with a wine pairing as well. That being said, I would definitely come back, but I would love to try some of the other restaurants within this building and come back for that bone marrow pho one day. I'm going to briefly talk about the pork rolls in Saigon, but I'll do a longer video for this later as well. Banh mi Win-Wa was definitely one of the best banh mi that we had in Saigon. It was a monster of a pork roll and had thick cuts of meats, smoky pate, and mayonnaise inside. Madam Win was also another really similar banh mi store. They were actually owned by 2 partners before that then split into rival stores, but I'll say more about that in my next video. The locals have been saying that this is the best new banh mi store, and it really didn't disappoint. I didn't think pork rolls really got much bigger than the ones in Sydney, or with so much more filling as well. But the pork rolls in Saigon were filled to the brim, and also slathered in pate and mayonnaise, so I really didn't have to order double of anything. All the places we went to also gave veggies on the side and an extra glove as well, so you could put it in yourself. This was a relief for me because I love pork rolls, but I really hate cucumber in them. The other thing was that the shops in Saigon tended to put pork floss in their banh mi, which was pretty crunchy and added a different dimension of texture to the pork rolls. On my very last day as well, I decided to order a pork roll off the Grab Eats app, So it just goes to show how good it was because I had to have it as my last meal in Saigon. If you're going to go fine dining in Saigon and want the most value for money, then trade dining is for you. If you like theatrics with your meal and deliciously cooked food, trade dining is for you. There wasn't a part of the meal that wasn't fun, and there was a story behind every dish. The design of the restaurant was also really cool, and it was really great to see the open plan kitchen, although we spent most of the night fascinated by the dishes that came out. The restaurant allowed us to order one chef's menu and also one person ordering from the a la carte, so we were fortunate enough to sample a lot of the different foods that we wanted to eat from their menu. The first dish was called Deadland and Ash, and they came with fire. It was comprised of 3 different entrees, which included caviar and smoked salmon, carrot with brown butter and black garlic, and dry aged pork. We received bread with a trio of different butters, tomato, basil, and pine nuts. So of course I had to make Neapolitan bread. I really enjoyed myself, but I think this is where I made my first mistake, because I had no idea how filling this meal would be. We continued to stuff ourselves silly for the next few courses, not knowing that we weren't even halfway through the meal. But as soon as we got to the foie gras pho in the last bowl, we really started to feel it. We were still pushing through though, because the food was so delicious. As we got close to dessert, I saw the other table receive theirs, and suddenly just felt much more room in my stomach. It was a dessert where you shattered rose, dipped in liquid nitrogen, over a watermelon cake dessert. I got really excited and smacked that rose hard, shattering it across the whole table. I was so shocked by the bill when it came out because it was only around $340 for 2 people, with a wine pairing and a couple of cocktails as well. Compared to Ange and I'm, which was almost double the price, this really seemed worth it. The only thing I would say is that the meal is quite filling and I personally could not keep up. That being said, I don't really eat that much, so for others, this may be the perfect amount. We were staying in one of the tallest buildings in Saigon at Vin Pearl Landmark 81, and Blanc was one of the bars in the building with stunning views of Saigon. The bar is wrapped around the outside of the building, and as a result is more narrow, and most of the seats face the tall windows to get the best view. The cocktails are really creative there and have Vietnamese flavours like pandan or lemongrass. The dessert is also really cute. We ordered the salted egg cheesecake, which literally arrived in a pan shaped like an egg, and it was really good. The salted egg actually tasted like salted egg. However, because we went around 3 PM and the bar was literally wrapped around the outside of the building, it got hot very quickly in the sun and we were getting really warm against the tall windows. We stayed for maybe about half an hour, but wrapped up pretty quickly and went back to our rooms. There's only one word for Ben Thanh markets: chaos. But amidst that chaos, Ban Biao Cho Ben Thanh is hidden amongst the various food stalls in the market. This is a Michelin restaurant, and I knew this was a real deal because as soon as we ordered and sat down, more locals started sitting down around us and ordering the same dish. We got the duck bitcha to have in amongst the hustle of the market, and also got a sugarcane juice from the store next door. These are traditional Hue rice cakes, and there are a lot of different textures within this because there are a few different rice cakes, and the flavours in this dish are sweet yet strong. I expected this place to be really touristy because it was in the middle of Ben Thanh, surrounded by many souvenir stores.
But as soon as we sat down, we were surrounded by locals.
This was also definitely the cheapest meal we had in Vietnam, being only $2 for a plate of rice cakes. A lot of people have mentioned that Saigon isn't quite the place for pho, but if you do like your pho, you should go to Pho Vietnam because it's popular with the locals and tourists alike. It's one of those lively places where you can see the staff interact closely with the regulars and also see the chefs hand make the noodles through the clear windows, allowing you to see a glimpse of the process your handmade noodles go through to get to your table. A signature dish of theirs is the pho in the hot stone bowl, which keeps your soup sizzling hot for longer, and you also get to put your meat in and decide how long you want to cook it for as well. The pho here is more light and clear tasting rather than a rich broth that I've been used to before. But that's pretty good if you've been packing all of your food into your schedule in Saigon and you need something light. The sauces were also really good and different from the hoisin and sriracha sauces that we get here in Sydney. But because we had been eating so much during our holiday, I felt really defeated halfway through this meal. At approximately $10 for a bowl of pho, this was really good value and well worth trying at least once. I initially had big plans to do a whole supermarket run segment on this channel in different countries, but unfortunately I don't know if we went to a really touristy grocery store and if this was an authentic enough experience to share. However, I still wanted to share some of the really yummy snacks that we got. These Tom Yum Lay's chips, which I'm pretty sure are Thai, were really delicious and the standout snack for us when we were there. It was sweet and tangy and a little bit spicy, but so Moorish, and although I don't even like Tom Yum, I couldn't stop reaching for more. The other snack that I wanted to share with you are these Ange crackers. It was a hard choice, but I got the katsuobushi ones because I always get seaweed, and since then I've pretty much finished a whole pack of these to myself. Overall, I feel like we had a really good variety of food there, ranging from supermarket to street food to fine dining. If you have any questions about my experience, please feel free to leave a comment below. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up to support me. Next time I'll be sharing my experiences of going to the pork roll stores in Saigon.